evening, folks. As I record this, it's only a little bit more than a week until WinterBlast. That's mainly what I want to talk to you about tonight. But before I get to that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to kind of digress a little bit with something a little bit less pleasant. Yeah, I've been doing these lists of upcoming events for about 3 years, a little bit shorter than that. And I've been doing these recordings for about 2.5. And during that time, I've really tried my best to give you the most complete list I can come up with and the most complete description of what events are on the horizon for the Northeast. And that will continue, at least as far as the lists are concerned. However, there's going to be some minor adjustments in this type of programming. And the reason for this, if you haven't been living under a rock, you probably noticed there's a good bit of drama going on in arm wrestling in this part of the country lately. And specifically, for about the past year, the 98 generally, me particularly, have been getting all sorts of grief from a certain promoter in central New York, whose name I will not mention, but quite frankly, you won't have to hire a detective to figure out who I'm talking about because it's getting rather obvious. And what's been going on is this is somebody we got along with and worked with very well for several years. But the last three events we held with him, we had a little bit of finagling going on his behalf, or on his part, I should say, with the finances. And basically, we've just decided not to go with him again. But that was, we were willing to drop it with that. Unfortunately, at the third of these three events, we had some equipment that was stolen. I basically lied about it, kind of joked about it, and now has been, joking at various tournaments to the effect that this equipment I'm using is not stolen. This is my own. And so, but despite this, kind of screwing around, I continue to talk about, his events the same as any others. And some people would say to me, "Hey, Shell, what are you nuts? Why are you talking about all this?" But you wanted to give the most complete, complete report. But now what has happened is recently this has changed in that he's not just messing with 98 or with me, but was messing with you. And what I mean by this is, as you may have noticed recently, there have been a lot of tournaments that have been popping up on top of ours, right in front of ours, right behind ours. And so you are being forced to choose, do I want to go to this? Do I want to go to that? Do I want to, if you possibly would like to go to both? And I might add that at no time have we ever told anybody, do not go to any tournaments. We don't have the right to do that. There are certain parts of the countryside, if you want to pull with certain people that don't go out of their home area, you have to go to those tournaments. And also, we're saying, hey, sure, go to them, get the points for the Aries rating systems. Although, quite frankly, a lot of times he doesn't turn those in anyway. But basically, what I think I'm going to have to do is, with the recent events, I'm still going to have as complete a list as I can, but I'm not going to be talking in any great detail. And what do I mean by recent events? Well, we had been told as early as last summer that the East versus West finals would probably be in March, where he knew that, of course, we were in late March, the Arnold was in early March, and so we weren't sure when exactly it was going to be. Well, as it turns out, those ended up in a little bit later in the spring and are 1 week before one of the Florida Arm Wrestling League tournaments, and about 2 hours away from where they're holding theirs. So, they're the ones that are getting stepped on. But what happened was announced that there would be a East versus West finals the week before we were doing WinterBlast. This was in Western New York. We're in Eastern Pennsylvania, so it really wasn't all that close. Although if that wasn't enough to catch our attention, 2 weeks before the WinterBlast, there was another tournament announced called the Battle of Baltimore, which was just south of Baltimore and was located within 3 hours of WinterBlast. And if that didn't catch our attention, one of his sidekicks announced that on the very day of WinterBlast, the 23rd of March, there would be a big practice at his place, also in the Baltimore area. So, it kind of made it, really not a coincidence. Thank you. And then what finally happened is the day after we helped Sean Boom Hancock run a tournament in Perryville, Maryland, their tournament, Battle of Baltimore, was moved from south of Baltimore to the exact same location we had just held a tournament the day before, which was north of Baltimore and probably about an hour and a half away from WinterBlast. Well, I'll tell you, enough of you squawked about the practice that was canceled, and enough folks squawked about the tournament being run an hour and a half south of us 2 weeks in advance at the same location we had just been at, that's been moved to somewhere in West Virginia, not indicated quite where, although that's also been moved. The date's been moved to the 6th of April, which, if you want to believe it's coincidental, is the exact same day as the IFA Nationals are taking place in the adjacent state of Ohio. So in short, we just figure it's about time to perhaps not promote quite as vigorously as we had been doing. And so all tournaments in the Northeast that I find out about will be on the list, but I'm really not going to talk that much about the, some of those where people are deliberately trying to screw us and, frankly, screw you at the same time. So enough of the unpleasantness. Want to get past that. Let's take a look at some things that are more pleasant, specifically a couple tournaments, including WinterBlast, which, as I say, is a little over a week, specifically on the 22nd and 23rd of March. Yes, it's gotten big enough that we really can't squeeze it all into one day, which last year we had probably one of the largest tournaments in the country. There were 242 pullers, 501 entries, and we expect that this may even be a little bit bigger than that this year. We have people coming in from all over the country and outside the country, from Canada, Puerto Rico. A number of the folks that Ryan Grondin met when he was out in Arizona for his match with Paul Italia are coming in from the Southwest, some from the West Coast as well. And so we expect to have a really big one. The one thing I had been concerned about that might have derailed things is that we didn't get a real winter blast on the day of WinterBlast like we did 2 years ago. But the advanced forecast for the Langhorne area says that it will be perhaps a bit wet, but in the upper 50s. So that's nothing to worry about there. We should have decent travel weather to come to WinterBlast. As I say, we're going to be stretching this over Friday evening and Saturday. On Friday, we're going to be having a referee seminar start late afternoon. We will have early weigh-ins from 6 to 9. We will have a number of super matches. In fact, total of, 6 super matches on Friday evening, starting at 7 o'clock. Probably the highlight of the evening practices or the evening super matches on Friday would be Kevin Palco and Levi Fitt, which is not to minimize any of the others, but probably, the biggest names that are pulling that evening. They're doing a best of 5 right arm. So that will be live streamed. The Friday evening will be live streamed, the same as Saturday. As I say, we are having early weigh-ins then. We're also having weigh-ins before the event on Saturday. We are not doing remote weigh-ins this year because we had problems last year, quite honestly, with a bit too much cheating in that regards. And so the only remote weigh-ins will be if Supermatch competitors want to have an early weigh-in remote, and they agree on the parameters that they both agree on whatever technique they're using, they'll be fair, fine with that. But otherwise, we'll just have on-site weigh-ins both Friday and on Saturday. So Saturday, as I say, we will start with that with the weigh-ins. Those will be from 10 to noon. We will have the super matches on Saturday starting at 11. Up until recently, I would have said probably the highlight of the super matches on Saturday was Paul Italia Nanya. Certainly still is the biggest one as far as money, with 5 figures on the line there. But that'll be best of 5 right. What we are also having now, which I think really could get equal billing as far as big names and very interesting match. Once again, not to minimize the others, but we also have Dustin Jelliff is pulling John Thieren, and that is also best of 5 right. As I say, we'll start those at 11. We want to start the tournament itself promptly at 1. And so we are really going to stick to the timelines because what we'd like to do is not only start on time, but we'd like to be able to announce what time we will get to certain weight classes, so that you don't have to sit around for the whole day in the room. If you want to go get something to drink, get something to eat, whatever, you don't have to worry when your class is coming up, because we're going to try to stick to that. And the only way that works is if we do get started on time. And the only way that works is if we cut off the registration at the times we have specified, which we are going to do. And so what we can't have this year is the old, oh, gee, I'm coming in an hour, put me down for this class, that class, whatever. And we're registering people up to 10 minutes before the time we were supposed to start. So be there on time, and otherwise you might be somewhat disappointed and might be left out. So that essentially is what we want to do there with weigh-ins and times getting started. As far as classes, we have kids classes. They'll probably be done off to the side, or possibly even out in a separate area, so as not to hold up things. We will then have, of course, the novice, amateur, pro, semi-pro, pro, and masters. We'll also have both amateur and pro for the women. The cost for the men's classes is $40 each of the first two arms, 30 thereafter. Women is 30 each for the first two arms, 20 thereafter. I might add the women's classes have a cash payout in as well as the various awards, because we have a number of people have sponsored that for the the women's pro classes with a cash payout. For the other classes, what we will have is dragons again, very popular last year for the first place for pro. We will have a skull for first place on semi-pro, and different skull for the amateur. Novice will have awarded. Well, of course, we'll have second and third place for all classes. The novice, we had thought about going with a special trophy there too. What we were looking at was a crown, and some folks thought, yeah, that really doesn't suggest arm wrestling, whereas obviously a dragon does. And therefore, what we'll be doing is going with first, second, and third place medals for the novice. In addition to all of that, we of course have several drawings for some really great awards. One of our sponsors, VitaCell, has sponsored a $7,000 VitaCell stem cell treatment. And what we're going to do with that, to make it fair, that we just don't hand it to whoever's the biggest and baddest person in the place, is for every first, second, or third you take, you will get tickets. 3 tickets for first place, 2 for a second, 1 for a third. They'll be tossed into the pot. And so if you, for example, pull your own class, you get a first, you get 3 tickets. You pull up a weight class, you get a third there, you get another ticket. And that will be for, as I say, for all of the pro classes. And we'll draw a number there, and whoever wins that, you get the stem cell treatment. Or if you think, hey, I'm young and healthy, I don't need that now, and you want to raffle it off to or basically the bidders, if somebody else thinks they need it a little worse than you do, that's perfectly acceptable. We'll be doing the same thing in semi-pro, a similar same method, although there we have another one of our sponsors, who Regen Options, who is going to do a PRP treatment, free treatment there by Regen, and that will, the drawing there, like I say, will go to someone in the semi-pro classes. We will also have, it's like we're going to have masters starting at 40. We'll also have a 49, 59, and possibly a 69 plus, assuming we can find some folks that match 69 plus. Besides me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be pulling or not. I might be kind of busy, but whatever. Kids will be up to age 17, and we will then, of course, after everything is done, the drawings are all taken care of, we will be having the after poll, which went over very well last year. We had an after poll last year till 5 o'clock in the morning, and the only reason we finished that is at that time is we had to basically clean things up for getting ready to move out that day on Sunday. So in short, if you do not make it to WinterBlast, you will have a very sore rear for the entire summer, because you will be kicking yourself for not having made it. As I say, the 22nd, 23rd. Hope to see you there at the Bucks County Sheraton in Langhorne, which same place it was last year. The week after that, on the 30th, I don't know of anything going on in the Northeast, which is probably just as well, because the 2 weeks after that, there are several tournaments, including two national events in the Northeast. So let's take a look at those. On the 6th and 7th of April, that is, as previously mentioned, the date for the IFA Nationals, which are taking place at the Hollywood Gaming Casino at the Dayton Raceway in Dayton, Ohio. You may recall last year the Nationals, the IFA Nationals, were also at a Hollywood casino, and that was in Joliet, Illinois. And we could not have juniors because they weren't allowed. Anyone under 21 was not allowed in the casino. What we are doing this year, they will be having juniors as well as seniors, which, of course, senior is what IFA at the Nationals and Worlds calls what we would call open or pro. And I asked how it was that we could do that at the casino, and I'm told because of the layout of the place that the under 21 crowd doesn't have to walk through the areas they're not allowed to be in, in the casino. So they will have the juniors as well. Saturday the 6th will be the seniors, both men and women. There are 72 gazillion classes. I'm not even going to begin to name those. And then on Sunday will be the juniors and also the masters. The masters being 40, 50, 60, and 70 plus. I'll be there for the 70 plus on that one. It didn't work out that well for me at the Worlds in Orlando a couple of years ago. I actually won one in 60 plus, but the three other people in 70 plus had a combined total experience of about 110 years, and I had 4, so that didn't work out that well. But as I say, those masters and the juniors will be on Sunday. Cost for these will be $50 per arm. However, let me hasten to say that 10 of that $50 is going right into a sponsorship fund, team sponsorship fund for the Worlds. And the way that will work, this is a fund run by Bob Brown. And essentially what will happen is if you are the winner of your class in Dayton in the Nationals, and you go to Greece and compete in the same exact class, you will get a $1,000 stipend to help you offset your costs of going to the Worlds in Greece, which will take place later in the summer. And so, as I say, that's on the 6th and 7th in Dayton, Ohio. The week after that, another national is Sitdown Nationals, which will take place again in Yorktown, Virginia, as it has been for some years. There we have the pro, the amateur women, and also masters. The pro classes weights are 165, 187, 198, 220, and 221 plus. The amateur and masters are 3 classes, 165, 198, and 199 plus. Masters, incidentally, is 40, 50, and 60 plus. Women is right arm only. That is open. The masters, amateur, and pro are both right and left. Women open, so once they determine who shows up for that, that will fix what the weight classes are for women. Last year, this was at the Yorktown Freight Shed, which was right smack on the York River. We're not certain if it's going to be at the same place this year, but we're keeping an eye on that. We'll be in Yorktown, but the problem is apparently the Yorktown Freight Shed is federal property, and there are some limitations of what we can do. One thing, for example, they can't collect money on federal property, and that's why, if you recall last year, if you were there, they had to have the registration and the fee collection across the street at the hotel. I gather there's some other restrictions as well, and I'm not sure what exactly the nature of them are, but at the moment, we're not absolutely certain it's going to be at that location. It was a nice location, or whether that'll be somewhere else in Yorktown. But as I say, that is the 13th of April. Also on the 13th, the Kiwanis 2 fundraiser is being run by the East Ohio folks in East Liverpool, Ohio. That will start at 1 o'clock on the afternoon of Saturday, the 13th. Quite reasonable, reasonably priced, $20 per arm. There are some super matches with that. I'm not sure, all of them. I know one of them is a couple of the young guys, one of whom crushed me in a super match about a year ago in Ohio. But of course, that's nothing shocking. Everybody crushes me in super matches. But in any case, that will be, like I say, also on the 13th. And they will have the pro, amateur, and novice are listed as the standard classes. Women and teens and kids classes will depend on who shows up with that. So, and as I say, that is also the 13th. On the 20th, at the moment, I don't know of anything going on in the Northeast. However, that's probably just as well, because on the 27th, there are no less than 4 events in 3 different states, but I will talk about those in the next program.